there's so many pop-belly musicians I'd walk in there. It's like just some guy wearing cargo shorts and flip-flops, and he's got his acoustic guitar, and he's just loudly singing Wonderwall, and people are just like trying to get their sandwich and get the hell out of there because this guy's just ruining the vibe of this place. First time I ever went, I picked a terrible spot. I went along Wacker at Riverside, like the Riverside of Wacker Drive. You know?
Okay, yeah.
And that's a terrible spot because you have one lane of foot traffic, and there's no intersection or anything there, and it's just a terrible spot just for that reason alone.
So how'd you discover a good spot?
Are we on?
Well, we're on. You have your camera on you.
Cool.
Got two right there. I got one on me.
Nice.
Alrighty. Well, welcome back. We have the one and only Danny Cronson. Is this your first podcast, or have you been on podcasts before?
This is my first podcast. Yeah.
Oh, let's go. Let's go, dude. And guess what? Good news for you. You're not the first person that said this about this podcast.
Oh.
And that's kind of another reason why I made this podcast, too, because obviously I mentioned to you I have it to highlight artists and like their stories and where they come from and how they got to where they are. And, I used to do and I guess we can still do at the end, like a little advice segment.
Okay.
But that was kind of the whole reason why I did it. And then nowadays, I'm lucky enough to have people like yourself on, and I think you have a really cool story. And it's definitely a unique one for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to talk to you about it. Yeah, I guess give them a little intro. Let them know who you are, where, what you do for a living.
My name's Danny Cronson. I'm from Long Grove, Illinois. I was born in Evanston, but my parents moved to Buffalo Grove. I lived there for a couple of years, but then we settled in Long Grove when I was like 5 years old, and so that's where I really consider to be my home. And chair's got a
fart in it.
The chair wants some input. But yeah, so I grew up a northwest suburbs boy, and went to Stevenson High School, pretty big high school. It's like a college basically. Do we swear on this or no?
You can swear on
Okay, all right. Fuck. Yeah. So, that was, I had a pretty standard, like, suburban upbringing. And,
sure.
It was nice. Everything was, maybe I have rose-tinted glasses, but everything, like, I had a great whatever, childhood and upbringing and all that. Everything was easy, handed to me. So, yeah, that really makes for great artistry, as we all know. Yeah. I didn't have to struggle with drugs or anything, So when I was like a freshman in high school, my brother Brett, he got a guitar, and I think the first guitar he actually got was an acoustic, and he'd be playing it, and it just annoyed the hell out of me. I actually hated it. He would come in the room and be strumming it, and I'd be like, "Shut up, get out of here,"
And you had no guitar in your hand at this point.
No, I had never played it. It was just a nuisance to me. And I definitely let him know.
What did you do in place of playing at the time? Were you like a gamer? Or what were you into?
Oh, yeah. I was huge into gaming. I was just a total nerd. MMOs. And the early MMOs, if you know, like, you had to be such a little nerdling to play those and get into them because they were so much more inaccessible to, like, your average gamer. Like, just the, like, EverQuest was something I played a ton. And it was just this...
which platform was it? Was it a computer?
PC, yeah, PC, and we had like N64 and PlayStation and Sega and all that stuff growing up, but I was really big into computer games.
What year are you? Are you 90?
90.
90.
Yeah.
Okay.
90.
Cool.
Yeah. So and it's kind of cool because I got to see the advent of at-home gaming.
You did.
Like, yeah, it really. That's when it started to take off, is with those console systems and PC gaming and stuff like that. So that was basically what I spent every single waking moment that I was able to. My parents were like, get off, but and I'd throw a tantrum, and yeah. So that's what I did before guitar. That's still what I do after guitar, but there's
the
guitar
order switch now.
Yeah, there's guitar in there now at least.
After getting paranoid with your brother, that is.
Yeah. So he bought his acoustic, and I At first I was annoyed by it, but eventually I think what really happened was I remember this girl that I grew up in the neighborhood with that I thought was cute, Danielle Wagner. She hey Danielle, there's no way you're seeing this, so who cares, I guess.
This is the podcast for her. That's why I made this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to send it to her. It's a very superficial reason to get into music, but I feel like actually this is probably how it went for a lot of people.
For sure.
Danielle Wagner, I remember, said one time to me, she had a crush on some guy, and the reason was because he was a guitar player. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, well, no girls have any crushes on me. I always felt like I was a freaking loser. and so, well, okay, this guitar thing, that seems cool. Like, maybe I can latch onto this and then I'll be cool, And that really was the impetus, was kind of like, maybe this will get me some social cred and girls will actually pay attention to me in some way. And, because
valid.
I wasn't gonna impress them with my Guitar Hero skills, that's for sure. Which funny thing, I got so good at Guitar Hero as a little kid that I could play some of the songs without looking at the screen. Like, I remember one of them was "Take Me Out" by Franz Ferdinand, and my friends would come over to be like, "Look at this! This is crazy!" And I'd play the song without looking at the screen, and they'd be like, "Dude, what the hell's the matter with you?" Like, yeah. So that was my formative years, and who knows, man? Maybe if not for Guitar Hero, I might have never gotten into it. As lame as that sounds, and it is lame.
I was a big Guitar Hero guy myself too, but I actually won like some Guitar Hero competitions.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is really funny because I think you and I both know very well that like for me to even play one string on a guitar is like, dude, someone have to like. I feel like I'd have to like earn money to be able to just play one string. Like,
yeah,
there's no shot. I would get shot before even learning a note.
Right.
Like,
I'm gonna put this here so I'm not like jangling
it. Yeah.
That was kind of how I got into it. Like, my brother had the guitar first, and I thought it might kind of gain me some social cred. I thought it might make me kind of cool. So I think that is really why I got into it. And then I remember he got his electric guitar, this cherry red Squier Stratocaster that I've actually done. Like, we did a bunch of videos on where we showcased my guitars. That one's in there. And that was the first electric guitar I ever played, really. I mean, I think I might have messed around with one at my friend's house, like, around that time, but this was the one that I learned on and actually, like, started. I'd come home from school every day and I'd jam on this thing.
Gee.
And, I'd, like, play 2 power chords and then I'd run and go tell my parents and be like, I did it! And they'd be like, yeah, we heard. Like, we heard that.
Did you tell that girl about it, too?
I might have. I don't know. I was telling everyone though. I was like, yeah, guitar. It's me. It's my whole personality now. That's the thing. I remember I was trying to impress this kid that I thought was really cool in my like science class. It was like natural sciences or something. Jake Abrams. He was like, more mature than the other kids for his age, and
there was always that kid.
Right. And I was trying to impress him, and I told him my brother. I told a lie. I told him my brother had a Gibson SG Firebird, which, if you know anything about guitars, you're like, what? That's like 3 different guitars, dude. Like, and he even was like, wait, what is it, a SG or is it a Firebird? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's both. Like, I clearly just had no idea what the hell I was talking about. So yeah, it was a way for me to try and feel like I was aligned with something cool in high school, which is an important thing at that time.
I think we all went through that to find some sense of like semblance. For me, that thing was like skateboarding for sure.
Right.
And like, no matter how much I sucked at it, I would still tell people I was like learning crazy tricks.
And it gains you a social crowd too. You know, now, because if you are part of that, there's a chance that all the other kids that are doing it will, accept you and be like, oh, cool, he's one of us or whatever. It's very tribal in high school like that, It
is.
And
it's weird. It's really weird to think about.
Yeah.
I remember I like didn't even get along with people long because I was like that nerdy kid that was like, I was like, ooh, this camera setting. Or I was like, if I wasn't talking about that, I'd be like, so I assembled a computer with a 0.4 megahertz.
People are just
RAM,
like,
and people are like,
stop talking to me.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had one friend in high school that had some interest in a computer.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, skateboarding. That's my social.
That's way cooler.
Yeah. And the ladies might like that one.
Yeah. Well, definitely. There were definitely I remember there were girls that would be hanging out with the skater dudes in their crowd, and same thing for the guitar people.
And now it's crazy now since we've been doing videos, and you now have since then collected a massive array of guitars, which we'll get into that later.
God.
But
yeah.
you took that guitar, and what did you once you were like you said you were strumming around, you were telling people about it, and people were excited. But where did that like eventually from there take you? Did you kick it into shows? Were you playing for the high school? Were you like what was the next step?
So the next step for me was I got really into like 80s metal. I was like my number one. Or my two number one, if you can have two number ones, was like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses.
Classic.
I was so obsessed with Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses. I was like reading their books. I started smoking cigarettes. I had my hair, I got this Latin guy hair actually. It's like this wavy because I'm 50% Chilean, as you probably know. Mm-hmm. And when I grow my hair out, it is legitimately an afro.
I think you showed me a picture one time,
dude,
or me posted it somewhere. I saw that.
When I was like 16, my hair was literally just like an afro, like it would cover my eyes, and like it was totally ridiculous. I looked like a total clown, but when I played shows, it was real cool because I'd be like throwing it around, and people would be like, "Dude, you look like Slash," and all this stuff. And so I was like, "Yes, I finally like this is my peak." Like. I was so happy that nothing that anyone could have said would have made me happier than, dude, you look like Slash, so that was huge for me. And I got into it really heavy, really hard right away. I was like, this is it. I'm doing this for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to be a pro guitar player. Nothing's going to stop me.
What age was that?
16, I'd say, like late 15, 16, because I think I got my first guitar that I got for Christmas was a black and white Squier Stratocaster. My parents got me it for Christmas. I'm pretty sure it was 2015 going into 2016.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty impressive actually. I feel like 16 is like nowhere near the close age of like, I would say, dare I say, like the average person is like, here's my thing for the rest of my life. Like,
yeah,
we're all still in that like, do we like this?
Right.
Does this person even like me? I like this subject? That's like, you were like sold on it, like right there and then.
Yeah, and that's how I've always been my entire life. Is I'm extremely black and white. It's just either yes or no, hard yes or hard no.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, this is it. Like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. This is gonna be pro. I'm gonna make it. Was what I was telling myself. And I remember very early on, having a conversation with my dad in my basement where he was like, "Are you, you actually, like, who you kidding?" And I remember, kind of breaking down and telling him, and like, dude, like, to me, Jimmy Page and whatever, name your guitar hero, like, they're all just guys. Like, they're just guys that practice guitar and got good at it, and if they can do it, I can do it too. And he was like, "You're nuts. You have no chance of ever getting anywhere with this."
And wait, who said this again?
My dad.
Oh my God.
And it was like, yeah, good luck,
Which is funny because ironically back then, like, I feel like that's like, I don't know, like with the way the music was back then too, I feel like you still, like, that was a good time to be saying that too, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's ever a good time for your 16-year-old kid to tell you that they're going to be a rock star, that probably pisses about any parent off. I'd say, because, and I totally understand where he's coming from with that. Like, you want to see your kid do well and succeed, and trying to be a professional musician is an extremely difficult path, requires a ton of hard work, luck, perseverance. Mm-hmm. Even if you have all of that, there's no guarantee that you're going to make it anywhere substantial.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So it makes total sense to me that he was like, no, don't do this. Like, you're wasting your time. But like I said, the decision was already made in my mind, and I was like, nothing's gonna stop me.
Nice.
So
had the confidence at an early age.
Yeah, and it just went from there to, me practicing a lot, all the time. And if you could call it practice back then, it was mostly just me jamming over Aerosmith songs incorrectly, playing the wrong thing for hours on end.
There's the only way to learn is to do the wrong thing hours on end, to realize one day that, like, hey, that is wrong.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to ever learn. There's no way to learn.
Right. Yeah, you got to make mistakes to figure out what's wrong. But, it very quickly turned into me kind of hooking up with the other kids that were in my grade and high school that also wanted to, do rock/metal kind of stuff. And I got into some bands with them, and we would play shows at, the Oasis in Grays Lake, Swing State in Lake Villa, which was, I actually did a post on that a bit ago about, it was like essentially like an underage, it was like a bar.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was like a bar that wasn't a bar because they didn't serve alcohol. Oh. But a bar for kids, basically, was what it felt like. It was like,
So a bar that I would go to.
Why don't you take a seat? I mean, like all the skater kids would be hanging out there, punks would be hanging out there, rocker kids, like.
That was the era.
It was a lot of fun, and it was packed. Like, you would go there, and there would be like it wasn't a huge place. It was maybe like 2 of this studios, like in square footage, with 2 really shitty bathrooms, and then like a bar taking up 40% of the area to begin with, and like it would just be packed. That's what Swing State was, and I don't know why, but I always hated when people would call it. But you're right, it was a scene. I don't know why it bothered me. I used to be like, there is no scene, like fuck off, like. But yeah, there totally was a scene, and like that was one of them, and like all the kids would be hanging out there, and that was where I believe I played my first show.
Damn.
At Swing State, and I was probably 17 or something.
Wow.
Like I it might have even been younger. I really can't remember.
Whoa.
It was a long time ago.
That's sweet.
But had a lot of great times there. I got into a band with a buddy of mine named Lev. Mm-hmm. Who he was like a song, I hadn't really written songs, and he was like a songwriter though. And,
was he also like 17?
Yeah, we were like same age.
Huh.
And the band name was crazy. It was Left Last for Laporte. It's a pretty ridiculous band name. Sorry, Lev.
I feel like I've heard worse though.
Yeah, you probably have. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it had some things, but I remember I'd tell people it, and they'd just look at me like, "What the hell did you just say to me?" Like. We eventually changed it to like Red Means Go, just ridiculous teenage band names,
silly dumb crap.
Yeah, and so I did that for many years, like 16, 17, 18.
Holy smokes!
I remember when I was 18, I was attending, I had graduated high school, and I was doing CLC classes.
CLC.
Yeah, College of Lake County.
Oh,
the community college.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, typical musician. Went to community college for about 3 months. Then I dropped out, and I went to band practice. I remember the day, like, I decide, like, I'm done with this, and I just leave. I'm driving in my car. I go to band practice, and I tell them, like, guys, I just dropped out. Like, I'm not going back. Yeah.
So you were excited to tell people to play guitar, and you're also excited on the same coin you tell them you dropped out.
Oh, very excited. I was just excited for myself. I'm like, I'm done with school. Fuck this, But honestly, it was a great decision. It really was in hindsight, because you don't need a music degree to do music professionally. I
imagine getting to a music venue now, and the person in the venue's like, hold up, pull out your degree.
Let me see your bachelor's.
Hold up,
yeah,
come on.
yeah.
You're like, oh.
Right? No. It's the the total opposite. Yeah, you don't if you really want to do it, fine. But I think you're wasting whatever $60,000+ if you go to school from. I don't even know how. It's probably way more than that now. That's what it was when I was a teenager. It was probably like. It was probably like 20,000 or more a year.
Yeah.
When I was 18, it's probably
good old times.
It's probably 60,000 a year now or some shit. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Cause yeah, like you'll make connections. I'm sure you'll practice and get better, but like you can do all of those things on your own without spending a ton of your or your parents' money. So yeah,
self-taught.
Right. Yeah. Oh, dude, some of the best guitar players in the world are self-taught.
Was there any YouTube University along that
YouTube
path?
University, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
YouTube University is the undefeated champ. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
you took that from college. You dropped out, and then were you still playing shows in that time span that people were going to college, or like how long did that band last till you moved in until you like fully went into like, I gotta be my own band, like my own project?
A while longer, but it wasn't that band. That band, kind of, I think fizzled out. I'm trying to really remember. I think it was probably around, like late 18 or 19 years old. That band just kind of fizzled out.
And that was what year?
2008 or 2009.
2009. Okay.
I think if I recall, the reason was that Vince, who was the drummer and like a really good buddy of mine back then, like he was like, dude, I'm not doing music for a living. Like I'm going to school and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And, and
nerd going to school.
No hate whatsoever. I totally understood then and understand now that this is not for most people, and I was like, okay, well that sucks, but I'm going to find something else. And I what I started doing was I started going out to Wakanda, and I can't exactly remember how I met this person, but I met someone named Zach Mayfield, who was a bass player, one of the sweetest dudes I've ever known in my life. He's like this huge power lifter dude, but like really like soft presence and like soft spoken and like just a nice teddy bear dude that's like this massive guy. And it's like, it's this funny kind of juxtaposition. So yeah, that was Zach, and he was a really good bass player too. He had a lot of really good just kind of feel and interpretation, and he was into stuff that I had never messed with before. Like he was really big into Tool and Primus and stuff like that, and I had never like even thought about those bands at all.
For sure.
I was kind of just like, oh, what's this stuff? And he showed me it, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I've never heard anything like this. And we were jamming together for quite a while, and then he eventually introduced me to, and I'm probably like 18 or 19 around this time. He eventually introduced me to a singer named Jesse Schrammel, who...
You have a good memory for names, man.
Yeah.
Like it's impressive. I do not remember some of these names in my childhood.
I think I get that from just the way my dad always tells stories. He'll like full name people all the time. He'll be like, I was with this guy and it's his name. I don't like, he does the exact same thing. He does the exact same thing. So I met Jesse, and Jesse was a talented rock singer. Like Jesse never practiced a day in his life. He could just sing like Lane Staley, like off rip. And like people, he's the kind of singer where when he would start singing, the whole room would stop and just be staring at him like, what the hell is this? He was insanely talented singer. And I had never met anyone like that in my life. And I remember the drive home from the day I met him, and Zach was like, yeah, like we're going to start playing with this dude. He's going to be our singer. I felt like I had the world in the palm of my hands, because I was like, I found someone who's a really talented singer, and he's going to be in my band. Like, this is it. That's what, in my mind, I'm like, that's what makes bands make it, is if you have a really great singer. Yeah. And I still kind of honestly believe that is something that is kind of required to make it in the industry. Sure, a contributing factor. Yeah. Oh, yeah, a big one. Like, if you have a really great singer, like, that is one of the most sought-after things musically. And
you were afraid to sing it this time, no? Or just like,
I had never sang, and I didn't have a singing voice at the time. I had never tried to, and if I had, it would have sucked. So yeah. No, I wasn't entertaining singing at any level at this time. I was just a guitar player.
Damn.
Yeah, and that's how I was for a long time. I mean, ages 16 to, I think I started singing around like 22, 23. So there
and you're what now?
35 almost. I'll be 35 in April.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, there was like, 7 years or something, 8 years of me not singing and just being a guitar player.
Holy smokes.
Like rock bands and stuff. And so we're like, age 19 or whatever. I meet Jesse. We get into these like rock bands that we make. I'm trying to remember what our band name was.
Probably something ridiculous at the time.
Yeah, I can't remember the one that we initially formed with him was.
But you formed a band with him at least.
We formed a band with him and Zach.
Was that band making waves in your town?
No, I don't think we ever made waves. No. I think we
played in the basement a few times and called it.
We played in the basement a lot, but I don't know. It's foggy for me around that point. We definitely played at like some spots here and there in Wakanda, but nothing ever big. And we never had any traction. We were just about like hanging out and smoking and drinking and having a good time, but like.
You weren't getting an MTV music video.
We weren't doing much really. We were just jamming and and I remember so around that same time, God, I can't remember who our drummer was. I have no idea who the drummer was for all of this. I remember some of the later drummers because I went through multiple iterations of different bands with this guy.
So you had, if I got it right, you had a singer, a guitarist,
and a bass player,
and a drummer.
There had to have been a drummer. I literally can't remember who they
like
were.
A four-piece, but in other words, it was like a 4-piece band that you had.
Yeah.
Gee, so that was like pretty official though at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we did that for, a couple years, just doing not much, but jamming a bunch and just becoming good friends. Me and Jesse ended up getting really close. Like we'd be hanging out all the time. We were best buds for a while.
You still know Jesse?
Well, Jesse passed away, actually, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, it's fine. He passed away, I don't know, like a couple months ago.
Oh, no kidding. Recent.
Yeah.
Oh.
But anywho, we were, going for a number of years. And then, like, probably around age 20, we broke off from Zach. I can't exactly remember why, but it was still me and Jesse together. Like, me and Jesse were like this for
you guys wrote it
many
out.
years.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting relationship though. It was very contentious. Like we would fight a lot but then we'd still be buds at the end of it all, and it was a weird relationship.
But I feel like this might be a hot take, but I feel like bands like that was a pretty normal dynamic. Like when I watch like old band documentaries, like even if you watch like Beatles documentaries, old bands, 9 out of 10 of those music documentaries, you hear them and they'd be like, yeah, we didn't talk to each other for a month. We were in a fight. Like, it was, like, so normal.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also fairly normal, dare I say, for, like, even a lot of people's friendships, too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be shocked to find out that, like, people are always smooth sailing.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like, people are going to butt heads over some stuff.
Absolutely. You spend enough time with someone eventually, something's going to clash.
Yeah, I would be really shocked if you were like, yep, we never had any problems. We were all good. I'd be like, okay.
No. Yeah, the opposite of that. It was very contentious, very rocky for a lot of it. But we still, even through all of it, we were like, we were brothers. And, we ended up eventually going out. We like met some guys, or I can't exactly remember how this went down either, but like he met some guys and we started going out to Island Lake to jam with these brothers, the Scavelli brothers. It was Dino and Joseph Scavelli.
Good
and no, but they were really cool guys, and we would jam with them. We'd go over to their house and just jam all the time, be writing songs and all that. And for a number of years, probably like 19 and 20, I'm thinking, ages 19 and 20, we were like playing out pretty often as a band with them. I think our band name was 21st Repeal.
Which, oh my gosh.
It didn't make any sense because the 21st Amendment or something was something that like was something to do with prohibition. Like I think it was constituting prohibition as a thing. And when it got repealed, that's when Prohibition was lifted. That's my understanding of it. I could be wrong. But we named our band 21st Repeal, and it because we were like, yeah, man, like lifting Prohibition rules. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense because the 21st Repeal is like, I don't know. Anyways, so we were in that band for a while. We played a bunch of shows, and it was good times mostly. A lot of ridiculous antics, though, like, you know, people just trying to sleep with each other's girlfriends and like getting into all kinds of fights and just stupid shit. We were all 20 and just trying to get laid. Like that was literally it.
Yeah, that's the age. Yeah. Checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. God damn. So then you were playing shows. It sounds like you went through like a array of different bands, if not band names, with maybe some of the similar people that were in your bands. Mm-hmm. And then so I take it that you played shows with those guys. You then lasted in this last band for how long did you guys?
21st Repeal, 21R, as we were known, I think was probably like 2 years or something like that. 2 years of like gigging out pretty often and jamming like all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that you said that never made any waves across town.
I mean,
or was there people coming out to your shows, still some packed
shows?
Like
there were buddies and stuff. You know, like there were friends and stuff that would come out. And I got a funny story once. One time we were gonna play this place that was like a roller rink, and
interesting venue.
Yeah, it was like a roller rink, and it was pouring out. When we got there to like set up, we literally just stayed in the car because it was just like it was just a downpour like crazy. And so we were like, this show's fucked, no one's gonna be here. And we were right, you know, but so the rain stops after we've been sitting in our car for like half an hour. We're all pissed off. We load in, we set everything up, and we're like doing a sound check. We're getting ready to play. There's like hardly anyone there. There's like 6 of our friends there, and no one else. We're getting ready to play, and then the runner of the show, which was like, this show was like ran by teenagers. Like this whole operation was ran by like 15-year-olds.
So
like,
roller rink and teenagers. Off to a great start.
This poor kid comes up to me and he's like, you know, hi, sorry, but we're gonna call this because no one's here and there's no point. And I got really pissed. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, we set up all of our stuff. I can't believe this. And I remember I just took my guitar off and I threw it on the floor as hard as I could, dude. No. Just boom, makes a big scene. Everyone's looking, and I stomp off all mad. And my buddy Jesse was like, dude, like, that was awesome. Like, dude, that was like a rock star move, man. And I was like, yeah, man, no one understands me. I'm so cool. But that's my rock star tantrum story.
You had a guitar smashy era as well.
Yeah. I got pissed. I remember I was like, this is horseshit. Just let us play. We set up, like, let us play for our 6 buddies. And they wouldn't let us do it. So I made a big scene and stormed out of there.
Did you get influenced by the era of musicians that would do that on stage?
I think that was just pure rage. I don't think I was trying to copy anyone. That was just pure unbridled rage from me. But yeah.
Then did you make some like extra friends, some like more social credit after that?
Probably not. No, I probably just looked like a jackass, honestly. Yeah.
And they definitely wanted you to play there again after that, right?
Yeah, right. I'm sure they were like, let's get that guy back. Yeah.
You think they're like still going to be calling you today?
I hope not.
Remember that guy who smashed his guitar?
Yeah.
We like that guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
So, you know, that was, I can't exactly remember, but that was probably near the end of the era for that band. I remember.
What a great closing.
Yeah. Those guys, they ended up going to school, I'm pretty sure, is why it ended. So, again, another band that kind of came to a close because, you know, and not knocking them at all. But, yeah, the other members were like, hey, we're not going to fuck around with this. We're going to go make something of ourselves. And I don't blame them in the slightest. And, you know, I know them still today, and they're all doing well. So it worked out for them, you know.
It seemed like that was kind of like your thing along the way. It was like you were the one that didn't go to school. So you had to like constantly look for other people that like were either free in the time you were free, and I assume that may or may not have played a role in like why you started to branch off on your own. Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, and so Jesse was like me in that he was also full tilt dedication to music. Nothing else mattered in the slightest.
Really?
And so that's probably why we had that really strong bond for so long, is because it was like, dude, like, we're on the exact same page with, like, we want to make it. We want to make this happen.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find other people that had that same attitude. Like Dino and Joey were like, yeah, we'll play and have fun, but, like, we're not trying to, do this for a living. And that was most people's attitude, because you have to have some real delusion and, these visions of grandeur to think that you're going to get somewhere in music. And so, yeah, I mean, that, and nothing against that. That is the rational, realistic approach that people should take, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
But if you're like me and you're nuts and you just decide, no, I'm going, then nothing's going to change your mind. And the more people that tell you don't, you're just like, guess what? I'm going to do it harder now, So yeah.
I feel like we both lived through a bit of that age where it's like there was an age of like maybe like our parents' dynamic of like, how dare you do that thing?
Yeah.
But then we kind of went through that age group of like people that are like, what if we try that thing?
Yeah.
That other people are saying not to do. Like, that thing actually seems far more entertaining than the thing that everyone else is telling you to do.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt in my mind that if I would have listened to them and, gone down the beaten path of, whatever, 4-year university plus whatever other school and doing some job, I'd be regretting it.
Sitting behind a desk.
Yeah, I know I'd be regretting it.
Well, okay, so I don't know if I'm skipping too far ahead, but like one of the more unique things about you, and I'll let you talk about it more, is like you then would work jobs. Like I think you mentioned working at a gas station. Yeah. There's a couple of places you worked where like, and pardon me, I'm skipping too far ahead here on this.
No.
I feel like you were looking for jobs where you could sneak guitar practice into the job, and you were simultaneously loving guitar so much that you actually told these people if you couldn't play guitar.
Oh, I was out of there.
You were out of there.
I was out of there.
And what I guess you could talk about that a little bit is like, is that too big of a gap?
Well, no, and it even goes back a little bit, because that starts with the Dutch Made Dry Cleaners, which was my first job. I was 15, 16, I had just started playing guitar. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a stipulation I made at that point, but it was coincidental that the owner was fine with me bringing in my guitar and just playing it behind the desk in between customers. And there were barely any customers at that place. Sorry, Dutch Made. I mean, they are closed down now. So I don't want to throw shade. Katie, I love you, and I'm super grateful that you gave me opportunities. There's no way in hell she sees this, but even if she does, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was, and maybe that's kind of what gave me the idea in my head that like, oh, I can play guitar on the job, because the first job I ever worked, I was allowed to play guitar on the job. And so, I got lucky in that regard. I worked that job for many years, but then as I got older, I would go out of my way I would literally go in there and talk to the owner and be like, do you care if I bring in my guitar and play it on the side, like while I'm working here? And most of them were no, but all it took was one to say yes, and then I'd have a job for a while that I could play guitar at. So,
you are worked. The only, even musicians or like people that own a guitar, like, everyone aside, you are the only person I've ever heard that has like asked this question or like presented this idea. Like, there's nobody else I know that's like, I'm working at this gas station. Can I play guitar while I'm behind the counter?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I didn't ask. I just assumed it would be. Here's what happened with the gas station, and this still makes no sense to me. Is like, so it was a nighttime gas station shift, right?
Yeah.
You would get there, you would do like an hour of work, like you'd mop the floors, you'd restock the cleaners, or you'd restock the freezers, you would change the bags in the trash, and that is about it. You're basically out of work after that, aside from tending to the 6 customers that come in between the hours of 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. when you're done or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like my little gas station over here. It's like there's barely any people that go in there, and what else is there to do? You sit behind the desk, see the guys texting on their phone.
That's what I said to her, because I worked this job for a couple months where I would bring in my guitar, and it was all very discreet. It's not like I was doing it it's not like I was missing out on customers or something. It's not like they were even seeing the guitar, because they'd come in and immediately I'd hear the thing and I just put the guitar on a shelf right in front of me. No one would like hear or see anything. It was all very like under wraps. And she's like, you can't keep playing guitar on the job. And I'm like, okay, why? Like, would you rather have me just look at my phone the whole time like all the other employees do? Like, at least I'm trying to better myself here and do something. And she's like, you can't do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm quitting. And she was like, well, no, come on. And I was like, no, I'm done. Like, if I can't play the guitar on the job, I'm done. And yeah, so I quit that job. I still think that's a stupid position for her to have held. Because, like, who is being hurt by that happening? It's literally she just wanted control.
And if anything, it actually makes the gas station a lot different from other gas, and like kind of cool and unique.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then there'd be a customer that would come in and see it and be like, oh, cool, man. You know, it wasn't a problem in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's not like you were like ripping out some like, you know, horrible violent songs or like.
No, and you couldn't even hear it. It's an unplugged electric guitar, so you can't hear any, like, it wasn't making any audible noises.
Just the dung, 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 dung. Like,
I mean,
that's it.
The noises were, you know, quieter than I'm speaking right now in terms of what audible sound is coming from an unplugged electric guitar.
Yeah, it's like virtually nothing.
Doesn't make any noise, really. So I don't know what I really think she just wanted to just tell me no. And and I was like, you know what? No, I quit. Fuck that. And
you're out.
Yeah. So
and where'd you move after that?
Oh God. That was that was one of the last ones I did. I'm trying to think when that exactly was. So that was probably around 2012 or 2013. So we jumped a lot of time here.
You played harmonica in one of the jobs you had, didn't you?
Any job. I took a couple jobs where I would do delivery. I'd practice harmonica in the car and singing between this. I had started singing this time, so by that time. And
wait, when did you, not to backtrack, but when did you work up? What was the like year that you worked up the courage? I think earlier you mentioned it was like sometime between like 25, 22.
It was like 2010. I was 20 years old. I was jamming in the rock bands with Jesse and stuff. And around that same time, 2010, 2011, we got into this band called Emperors and Elephants, which was like this rock band with these kind of older guys, great dudes. Jason Moit, Ron Vander, I'm sorry, I can't remember, and Jeff Stiff. Yeah, so we got into bands with them, and they kind of took us under their wing. And I wasn't with them for that long. It might have been like a year or something.
And they made you be the singer?
No. I was just guitar playing. Jesse was the singer.
Okay.
And this is actually, I also skipped a little page where I think in between like 20 years old, where I was in a band with a guy named DJ Arrigo, his brother Chris Arrigo. Can't remember the bass player, but that was fun times too. We would just we'd go in their garage and just get shit faced and play, you know, whatever, rock songs, and there were all these girls around, and it was a fun time when I was 20 doing that, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and so, you know, but then, yeah, like 2021, I got in Emperors and Elephants with those guys. I was doing the rock thing. But eventually the relationship between Jesse and I just got so kind of contentious that I was like, you know what? I'm done.
Oh.
And, yeah, I kind of broke away from him. I just, you know, blocked him out of my life, essentially.
Whoa.
Probably around the age of 22, though. I broke off from him, broke off from them, and I was like, you know what, man? Fuck it. Like, I'm gonna learn to sing.
Yeah.
Because I know I can rely on myself. I don't know that I can rely on anyone else, but I know I can rely on myself.
You have a track record of that at that point.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna learn to sing, and I started singing. And it was horrible, like really, really bad at first. And everyone told me like, "Hey, this is really bad what you're doing." Like,
right to your face, they said this was bad.
Well, in so many words, like maybe keep working on that one, or like shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked my brother.
You'll get there one day, bud.
I asked my brother years after, and he was like, "I remember the first times I heard you practicing singing. I was like, what is he doing? Like, why is he wasting his time with this?" And like, look, he was right, because I started off really bad, zero talent, zero singer's intuition whatsoever, and it took many years of practicing, taking lessons with a teacher that I did. Like, I eventually ended up signing up for like private lessons with a vocal coach, Megan Besley,
Wow.
at Harold Washington College.
Okay, yeah, I know
She was my first singing teacher. I love her, a wonderful woman, and she, taught me bel canto and operatic kind of stuff, and we would do, O del mio dolce and opera pieces.
That's
And
incredible.
and she was very supportive. Like, I'd bring in my guitar, we'd work on my original songs and stuff. Like, she was a great first teacher.
Yeah.
And that is what kind of got me started. And it just took many years of doing that. I worked with a bunch of different teachers over the years. It eventually got to where it is now, to where, I can sing in a semi-convincing manner, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I guess, but to like go back to the tracks, you kind of covering that ground to say that like you worked up the courage to sing. So that was that. But then you mentioned you were starting to like sing and play harmonica in your cars where we were at.
Yeah.
And so you took a bunch of delivery jobs as well that were allowing for you to be able to play guitar, sing, and that. Was there any other like jobs you had that were between that where you could like you were like maybe inside of like a store playing the guitar aside from the gas station?
So I worked at the Five Boroughs Pizza on Sedgwick Avenue and North. Sedgwick and North. I don't know if it's still there. A place called Five Boroughs Pizza. There was an Indian business owner, Muhammad. I don't remember his last name, but he was a really cool guy. I walked in there and I was like, I saw they had a help sign. I was like, hey, I see you need people. I'll deliver for you if you let me, play guitar in the shop. And he was like, okay, cool. He let me do it.
He didn't second guess it.
Yeah, he didn't care at all. He was like, okay. And so I worked there for quite a while. Like, I would do the register occasionally, and then I would a lot of times just like sit in the basement and I'd be practicing singing down there in guitar. And they'd be like, delivery. Like, they'd shout delivery down to me. I'd go up, I'd take the delivery, I'd play the harmonica in the car. I was also fucking around with the saxophone and the trumpet at that time too. So I would like have my sax in the car, and sometimes I'd just sit in the car and play the sax. Jeez. And they'd tell me, delivery time, and I'd take it. And so, yeah, but that was a common theme. Like, I wouldn't take a job in my 20s unless I could sneak in music practice to it, basically.
That's sick. I am sure it paid off. Like,
I think
to this
it did.
day, you're like, time well spent on the job.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if that time were the other way around, pulled away from you without guitar, you might have been losing it a little bit.
Right. Absolutely. That was my sole mission, was I have to be getting better at music. If I'm not getting better at music, then I'm not doing anything, was kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah. I've told you this time and time again, like, you are far, like, just like more dedicated. Even just like hearing your stories, like over and I'm like, God, this guy did not stop playing guitar. Like, there's people I know are very dedicated for sure.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you were like having to play on the job as well. And I imagine you probably went home and played following those jobs as well. Like, which I commend you on that half. I'm like,
thanks.
That is an insane amount of guitar.
I'm just
playing.
obsessive. Yeah, I've always been really obsessive about anything that I'm doing. If it's a video game or if it's guitar or whatever, I'm like, all right, well, I'm doing this today for 12 hours and nothing's gonna stop me.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I've always been. So
you took those. So you got done with those jobs at some point, and then you decided that you needed to make this be like your full-time job.
Yeah. That was the goal for all those years. I was just like, God, I would love to just be able to play music for a living.
And so what was your first, am I jumping too far ahead, or was your first step the busking?
No, yeah, that's it. So I probably worked that Let me think. I worked that pizza job probably in 2012 and 13, and then like end of 2013 to 14, was working in a Potbelly, which I would do the same thing. I'd be in the back like playing harmonica. My manager would be like, "Danny," like looking for me, and I'd be like, "Oh," with my harmonica. And I would do the same thing. Like I would just slack so hard on that job. Like they'd send me out on a delivery. And I would just like sit in the car after the delivery was done and practice the guitar for like 30 minutes. And then I'd show up and they'd be like, that seemed to like, they were like, that like took a while.
Traffic jam,
like,
right?
Yeah, just really bad traffic. Like, sorry, like, you got another delivery for me to take? Okay, great.
There's more traffic, right?
Yeah.
A lot of traffic. The traffic actually picked up.
Yeah. Dead stop the whole way there and back. Sorry, nothing I could have done about it.
Was there a lot of bad car accidents too?
Yeah, plenty of those. So, that was actually the last real job I worked was at Potbelly. And it's kind of serendipitous and funny because just a year later, I would be making a living playing those Potbelly shops all throughout Chicago. But
and playing inside of them?
Playing inside of them, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Back when they had live music, yeah.
That's an insane thing to think about now.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
2013 or 14, sometime around there, I went out and busked. Busking is like this British slang term for street performing. Mm-hmm. And so I went out busking.
How did you find out about it?
I was coming out of a Harold Washington class at some point, I remember. It's winter. And I walked past the saxophone player who's playing on the street. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to ask this guy, like, what the deal is with this. And so he was like, yeah, basically you just go to City Hall. You pay $100 for a license. The license lasts 2 years. And you get to go out on the street and street perform, and the cops can't hassle you.
Was it just limited to street? Because like I've seen those people on the train station before and stuff.
That's a separate license. That's cheaper, and it's like a separate thing, and it sucks. I've done subway busking before. It sucks horribly. It's so much worse than on the street performing.
Wow.
I
had no idea.
It's a stark difference. Yeah. Wow. On the street performing, like I would typically make at least $20 an hour.
Which is more than Potbelly.
Oh, way more. I was getting like $12.50 or something. Wow. And that's taxes being taken out of that. This I'm like making cash, like $20 an hour.
Pocketing it and going.
Yeah. And we all know I'm going to report that to Uncle Sam, right? Yeah. Definitely going to tell them. So I asked
Where'd you play?
Like for street performing?
Yeah, was it just outside of the Potbelly or like how did you pick your spot or what?
Well, the first time I ever went, I picked a terrible spot. I went along Wacker, at Riverside, like the Riverside of Wacker Drive.
Okay, yeah.
And that's a terrible spot because you have one lane of foot traffic, and there's no intersection or anything there, and it's just a terrible spot just for that reason alone.
So how'd you discover a good spot? Trial and error?
Yeah, I think so. I can't exactly remember, but I just ended up eventually kind of gravitating towards going on Michigan Avenue around south of the Mag Mile. Because if you go on the Mag Mile, the cops are like, get out of here. And I think I did that. And they were like, you can't be up here. Like, you can't be north of the river street performing.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
You're not supposed to be. If you're there, the cops will hassle you. Sometimes you might get away with it, but like the cops will hassle you if you're north of the river.
Even with a license?
Even with a license.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. So I was south of the river, but that's still a great area. It's like you got the Bean right there. It's like super populated. So I would go, on all those intersections just a mile south of the river on Michigan Avenue. And that was really where, my home was for
that was where the cash was made
for busking. Too. Yeah, and huge amounts of foot traffic there. You can get four-way intersections, people having to stop and listen to you because of the lights and stuff. And so, that was...
now, were you on an amp or you on acoustic, or what was the situation?
No, I had I had a battery-powered Roland amp that I would bring out. It was actually called the Street Cube. It was made for street performing, I believe.
That's sweet. So is it... Okay, so as someone like myself that's not... Like, I've seen clips of you and things like that, and, like, we've talked about it, but, like, for someone that's not, like myself, that's not all too well educated on it, how many like hours would you spend at this spot? And like on top of that, like was this like then did this become a thing that you were doing like 9 to 5 throughout the day and just like, or would you go like 10 hours at this? Like you had some dedication in you,
Yeah,
I know. So.
when I first started doing it, like that summer, I remember it was totally life-changing. The first time I went out, I went to a shitty spot and I still made a bunch of money. And I was like, this is insane.
And there was no hurdles along, like you weren't scared that like someone would just like steal your stuff or
I was scared. I was nervous. I remember being nervous as hell, but I remember it's really weird and it I don't know if it makes any sense, but like I was on the first time I was on Whacker, whatever, and someone from the car yells out to me, "You're amazing." And I was just like, "Oh, wow, like people think this is cool."
Yeah.
Some lady I remember one time in Old Town walked past me and she goes, "You got balls." And I was like, okay. But it made me feel like, oh, wow, like people see this as something that,
has an element of danger to it.
Yeah. It's got an element of danger to it. It takes some courage to do for sure.
And you spent how many hours out there?
Oh, God, a lot. Like I would go out for, many, many hours sessions.
Like we talking like 8 to 10 hours?
Minimum, no, not 8 to 10, but like minimum 3 up to 6, I'd say. Like sometime in between there. Because it's tiring. Like you're playing the whole time. Like you're just playing, like at least that's what I would do.
What are you playing when you say playing? Like when I walk by street performers nowadays, like they're just kind of either like playing their own thing or strumming some chords, or like I see the guys on like little bucket drums just hitting some notes.
Yeah.
Like are you doing covers or like are people tipping you for requests or like what?
Well, very rarely someone would ask me to play a song they knew or something, but most of the people were transient. They're just walking by, so I figured, okay, it's not like I don't need to just like play songs. I can literally just work on like improvisation jams. So
nice.
I'd bring out a loop pedal for all of this, like a battery powered loop. Yeah, like a battery powered loop pedal. And so I'd play chords and then I'm soloing over the chords. Like I'm just I'm practicing soloing. I would have the harmonica too. So I was practicing soloing essentially for 4 to 6 hours, straight. I really wouldn't take breaks.
And how popular would you say, like, when I think about busking nowadays, like I feel maybe, and this is just my own like outer vision of it, not having been in the scene.
Yeah.
But I feel like I see busking on TikTok frequently nowadays, or like I see busking like it's rare that I go to Chicago in the city and don't see busking. Like if I step out of like especially near like the metro area in Wrigleyville, you'll see like those guys with the horns. Like you'll see guys like all the time in the train stations. Like you'll see guys like I see those drummer guys along Michigan Ave a lot. Like no matter where I go, I'm seeing it. Do you think like when you were doing it, this was like you'd walk around and be like, "Yep, this is an everyday occurrence." It's like or was it quite like that yet?
There were there were. I remember there was competition for spots, and it was sometimes
okay. So your spot would get taken.
Yeah, well, no one had a spot. If you tried to claim that some spot was yours, you'd
get screwed.
You'd get told to fuck off, and you'd look like an asshole.
Hey, dude, get out of that's my spot.
Yeah,
man.
no one that I knew ever tried to do it. It's first come, first serve. If there's no one there, you show up, you set up, you start playing.
So I imagine that made it tricky though, because, and maybe I'm reading into it too much, but maybe it made it tricky because from what you're telling me, like Michigan Avenue seemed like a great spot to get some cash.
Yeah.
And then you told me, I think on the flip side, you said it was like Old Town or Under Whacker or something. You said where like you didn't make as much money perhaps, or it wasn't quite as popular. There was much foot traffic.
Yeah, no, Whacker was bad traffic. No, Old Town was incredible.
Oh, and Old Town was good.
There was never anyone there too.
So where would you relegate yourself to if your quote unquote spot along Michigan Avenue is taken? Where would you
go find another spot? I mean, that's a long stretch there.
So you could just plop any. It wasn't like designated.
There's no designated spots. You just walk until you find a spot that is not being polluted by a nearby busker, orally, and then, set up and play. But yeah, there's no predetermined spot.
Well, the reason I thought that is because like when I'm in the train station, you know how they have those signs that like this area is for the
performers.
I'm at in my head, I was thinking that they got those kind of decked out.
Not unless that's a new thing they've done. It wasn't like that when I was doing it.
Wow. So damn, that's cool. So it didn't really affect your cash flow at all then, having to move spots, essentially.
No. As long as you're around that area, the Millennium Park area, on the west side of of Michigan, it's like it's good foot traffic.
Nice.
So
So that, and I think that played a huge role in like, I mean, you can't view that as like a practice, so to
yeah,
speak. For
it was just practice. It was
yeah,
literally practice.
getting paid to
like,
practice.
yes, and that was incredible. Like that was the greatest feeling in the world. And there'd be times where I would come home with just a pile of cash.
Do you think you'd
and
still do
it's-
that today? Or have you
Yeah,
done it in
no,
recent
I
times?
plan to. Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I bust was probably like 2021 or 2022 or something like that. But no, I'll definitely go do it again.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like that.
I mean, it's a great thing to do if let's say you have 3 or 4 weekly gigs, a week like I do right now. On your off days, if you want to make more money, you can. You can just. That's the great thing about busking is like it's always there.
Your own
more or
calendar,
less.
your own schedule.
Yeah, and you can just go and do it, and you'll reliably make decent money doing it. And you never know the connections too that you'll make out there. Like I would, I'd be busking one day and some guy would say, "Hey, I own a restaurant on whatever and whatever, come play."
Oh wow.
And you'd get a gig doing that. So it's
One
a
path
great
leads
thing.
you to another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great thing. It's whenever someone says, or if someone is looking for advice like to be a musician for a living, I say, well, if you have a decent sized city near you, go busk, because like that's a way that you can just it's up to you literally how much you want to work and how much you want to make, but you can go there and do it.
So going off of that, then, since you spent your time doing that, that led you into restaurant gigs. You mentioned, was there like a hard point at which you were like, all right, I'm done with this busking thing?
No,
'Cause,
never.
like you would have to get a new license too if you want to go do
Every
it again.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, so you, not necessarily that you were done, but like,
Since I moved to Libertyville, I don't think I've gone back out. Just
that'd be a
'cause-
mission.
Right, it'd be a bit more of a mission. It was more something I did when I lived in Chicago because it was a 15-minute drive or whatever.
Right.
Now it would be like an hour drive, but I still am
Like you
intending to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never have thought like, oh, I'm above this now or whatever.
Yeah.
Even if I got somewhere great in my career, I would still want to go out and do it. I would still even want to play restaurant gigs. I really just love playing and performing, even if it's in a restaurant where half the people are ignoring you actively. It doesn't matter to me. I really, really love doing it, and you can see it on my face and in my person while I'm doing it. Like this guy really enjoys it, and I know that because people tell me that all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, "Wow, like what you're doing is great. Like we love it. We can really tell you're into this." And it's like, yeah, I am. Like
You are. That's your MO. It's like your everything.
It's all I've ever wanted.
That's so cool.
And so
you left. So I
yeah.
guess where I was going with that is like, there wasn't really a time you stopped busking.
No.
Rather, it was like there was a time that you moved to Libertyville, of which you realized busking would be inconvenient for you at that point. So then you had to like pick up some other job at that point, I imagine. Or like you got connected to like restaurants, so you started playing restaurants sort of to fill that gap, or
well,
what?
that was much later. So like I moved to Libertyville in 2022, but like 2000, going back to busking and then connecting into restaurant gigs, that started for me in 2014 with Potbelly.
When did I meet you? Was it like 2018 maybe?
I have no idea. Might have been. I'm hazy on.
It was So Far. It was probably at So Far that I met you
Oh
at.
yeah, I think you might be right.
You played Grand Visions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was
You
that
had
it?
that. You had that keyboard player you played with.
Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle. Yeah.
And
you had that the
Kahinde.
percussionist.
Kahinde was
He's
rapping and
awesome.
did percussion. Yeah,
Coolest dude.
I have not been able to get. I haven't heard from him or seen from him in many years.
Oh, that dude's awesome.
I think he moved to Atlanta. I'm not sure.
Dang.
But so around 2014, I met Matt Wallace, who was, I believe at that time, the district manager for Potbelly and like North Avenue and Wells and some other ones. And great guy, awesome guy. I love Matt because he gave me really the start to like playing music as a living. Like my buddy, Jason Siegel, was friends with him. And Jason was like, hey, I know Matt. He's the DM for Potbelly. Let's try and get you into these shops. And I was like, okay, cool. So I email Matt. He says, cool, come on in and try out. And so I did. And what was great was like the North Avenue and Wells Potbelly was right here, and Eugenie Terrace, where I lived with Laura, was like right here. It was literally like 2 minutes away from. You could walk there in a couple minutes.
That's sick.
It was awesome, and so I got the job there, and I just remember like I was like, wow, like this is awesome. Like I have recurring work now as a musician, and it was paying decent. I was walking out of there with a bunch in tips, and I had a guaranteed wage, and I'd get free food. Nice. And what I'd do most days during that time is I'd play Potbelly from like 12 to like 2 or 2:30. I'd probably get around $100 for doing that, and then I would go out and street perform.
Oh wow!
That. And some of those days I would make $400 or something like that, a day.
Yeah.
And I would I would rack those up, and I would just do that consistently. And eventually I got into other shops. I asked Matt, like, hey, are there any other shops I could play at? And he got me hooked up with another shop, and they liked me there, so they got me hooked up with another shop.
Oh my God.
Kind of kept going. Eventually I had 6 a week.
You were the popular musician.
I was the popular musician, yeah. And I was doing a great job at it. That is where I learned how to suit a restaurant environment properly. And I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's one thing that I'm really bitter about still to this day. And
Let's hear it.
Because it impacts my business even now.
Oh no.
So many musicians. I'm looking at you, musicians. Fucking assholes. So many musicians abuse the restaurant gig in such a bad way, in that they go in there way too fucking loud. Like, way too loud. Like, how do you not realize how loud you are?
Yeah. Tone deaf.
Yeah, completely tone deaf. They act like it's their own little personal concert, and their appearance is shit. Like, there's so many Potbelly musicians I'd walk in there. It's like just some guy wearing cargo shorts and flip-flops, and he's got his acoustic guitar, and he's just loudly singing Wonderwall, and people are just like trying to get their sandwich and get the hell out of there because this guy's just ruining the vibe of this place. And, I do a really good job at when people come in, they're like, oh, like, this is really chill. Like, this guy's at an appropriate volume. He's playing hip stuff. Like, this is actually really good. And I would know because people would tell me. They'd be like, hey, this guy they had in there last Thursday was horrible, but you're awesome, man. Like, this is great. Yeah, and I heard that so many times. And the reason I'm bitter about it is because I did that Potbelly thing for like 6 or 7 years straight. It was my living. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of the jobs entirely because 90% of the musicians doing it were horrible at it. They didn't have a stringent enough bar to like how you should get hired there. They didn't have a stringent enough like screening process.
It was like, hey, you got a guitar? Oh, you have flip-flops?
Yeah. Literally, I think that was the criteria. And I would go every time. I'm like dressed well. I got a vest on. I got a tie. I'm wearing nice shoes.
You set the bar high.
I set the bar extremely high. I respected the hell out of that job because it was everything to me. That job, I remember when I lost that, I was devastated. Crushed is an understatement. I was just demolished because basically all of my recurring work was done.
What year was that?
2019. It was like it was like before 6 COVID? Months before COVID probably started happening.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, I'm fucked.
Oh no.
And it was winter too. And I'm just like, I can't even really go out and street perform because I'm going to die. Like, it's 10 degrees out and playing strings on that is hell.
Yeah.
I did it and it was horrible. It was painful agony. I did it a couple of times and it was really bad. So I'm like, you know what? I'll try and go on the subway. That's when I discovered that subway busking is dog shit. You get horrible tips. I was paranoid of getting knocked into the well, like a lot of the times.
Oh, that's probably why people sit so close to that wall in there.
Yeah, no,
that's probably
and it's not good for me too because I zone out and I close my eyes and I like to move around and do a little dance and stuff and like the subway is not the place for me to be busking.
There's a lot of kind of weirdos hanging around in there
that too. You never that
Yeah.
it's so much seedier down there that like it was
closed in.
Yeah, it was not cool.
And you don't know who the hell's getting off the train.
No.
A bozo could come out and whack you in the back of the head for all you know.
Dude, that happens. Yeah, that kind of stuff happens. So that didn't last long. I was, really depressed during that period of my life because
everything you knew was just yoinked from you like
that. And yoinked from me because most other musicians didn't take it seriously enough. That's
the worst feeling.
It's like if you got fired, because other videographers did a bad job. Yeah. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, so yeah, I'm still pissed about it to this day. I really think, dude, Potbelly, hire me, okay? I'll be your musical director. We'll have a nice, stringent screening process for who gets hired and who doesn't, and you will have enjoyable music in your shops, and that's going to set you apart from every other fast food chain. They're not going to do it, but they should.
You know what fast food chain's going down actually in the next 20 days? Hard Rock Cafe.
Really?
And that's another place they have musicians. Hard Rock's going out.
Mm-hmm.
But that at least Potbelly's around. They just got rid of the music portion of it.
Yeah, they did.
It's so unfortunate, dude. It's funny because you're telling me about this. Simultaneously, I used to go to Potbelly. I used to actually go. Yeah. Somehow, I think maybe it was just a city thing because I've been a suburbs guy.
They're out in the burbs.
Yeah,
but
I never saw it in the Wheaton one. I think I would go to. I'd go to the one. I think there was Glen Allen or Naperville, some other suburb I went to.
Yeah,
never saw the music portion of it. Maybe I just blinked it out, but it's all new information to me that they. Obviously you've told me your story before, but yeah, I didn't notice it was like a string of Potbellies that had a whole music.
All of them had music for a while, and then they all got rid of it. I would still go do those today if those were an option. I would love to go back and do that again because it was a great experience. And
you're playing originals.
No, I was playing whatever. They didn't care what I played as long as it was chill. I could play anything I wanted. I have never had a gig outside of maybe a corporate gig or two or a Christmas gig or two where they're like, we want you to play this, this, and this. Basically, every gig I've ever done is just play whatever, and it's never been a problem for me. Mm-hmm. I usually am able to suit the repertoire to what the gig needs, and I can just kind of tell that just at a glance, just vibe-wise. I instantly recognize, all right, this is a loud bar. I'm going to play some CCR and some blues and some rock. This is a quiet restaurant. Okay, I'm going to play Georgia and, Blackbird and Beatles and stuff that's chill.
That makes sense.
And you got to be able to read the room and read the vibe and match that.
And so now so going off of that, you now play different restaurant. You play an Italian restaurant, to my understanding.
Yeah.
Is there other restaurants you're playing right now? There's maybe a couple other ones in there.
Yeah.
And then that fills your time along with your time in your own studio, perhaps practicing along with whatever else. And I guess I want to get into a social media aspect of this in a little bit, but I want to hear again, you went kind of from that point over to restaurants.
Yeah. So restaurants started for me in 2014 and they haven't stopped aside from that period of 2019, 2020, which was COVID anyways. Yeah. I was getting paid $600 a week, $800 a week by the government to sit on my ass and play guitar and play video games. Yeah. So that was, and then 2021 was just a lot of busking. I hadn't found recurring work yet still. 2022, I moved out to Libertyville.
Oh, we did film you busking.
Yes.
I'm remembering this.
We definitely did.
Now that you gave me a timeline, my brain has sorted this out. I remember it. Yeah. Okay.
So 2022, I moved to Libertyville, and I thought I was screwed. I was like, there's going to be no work out here. I'm not going to get anything. This is the end. Yeah. And I was thankfully wrong because I went out, the first weeks I had been there, I canvassed a bunch of businesses, and basically all of them told me no, screw off, aside from this guy, Sal, at Mambo Italiano, who gave me a chance, and thank God he did. He was the only business. I probably went to a dozen or more businesses that day. Everyone told me to get lost, that they don't have music. But Sal said, come in and try out. We'll have you this Friday. And wow, he's a cool dude. He's the best business owner I've ever worked for. He's one of the coolest guys I've ever known in my life.
Yeah.
And he said, I remember he came by and he was like, "Hey man, this is great. Let's have you every Friday and Saturday." And I was like, "What?"
No.
Yeah, that was and the clientele, the place just is incredible. They tip really well. They love it. It's the best gig like I've ever had.
You're still there.
I'm still there. Been there a couple of years now, and they love it, and I love them. So it works out great.
And this is that place that you've talked about where there's like some nights a lot of people, and other nights there's like 2 or 3 people in there. And
no, that's the Village Tavern.
That's the tavern.
That's the tavern that I'm at. No, Mambo Italiano is like packed all the time.
Oh my God!
It's a really successful restaurant. They've been around for 20 years.
Libertyville.
Mundelein.
Mundelein
On Butterfield Road.
Nice.
And I also play at the Village Tavern on Wednesdays, which is a lot. They have really big weekends, but their Wednesday crowd is like not much at all. But it's a recurring gig, and I get paid, so whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that thankfully has been able to keep me employed and playing music weekly, and in the suburbs, which I thought was going to be impossible.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other places too that have me as side things. Like I'll occasionally play at there's a tavern in Libertyville that will have me.
Oh.
Yeah, there's places around there too that hire me here and there. So, but it worked out.
Nice. So I guess from there, you're playing restaurants these days, and you're thinking about busking.
I'll definitely busk this summer for sure.
Oh, this summer?
Yeah.
Dude,
why not?
We got to film some of those again. That's sick.
Absolutely.
Cool. So going off of that, which point along this path that you mentioned is your like formative memory of social media, like, and not just social media, I should say, but like, at which point were you like, maybe I should put this music thing I'm doing on social media?
Yeah.
And like, what was your memory like?
I mean, I've been doing that, albeit not consistently and not in a serious way, but I've been uploading stuff to social media since Instagram came out.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And Facebook and not YouTube, but Instagram and Facebook. Like I've been putting stuff up on there since they came out. And that's a very I'll just say just right off the bat, I hate social media. I think it's a poison.
But it wasn't. You didn't have that thought when you first got it necessarily. Like you and I've gone over this. Like you would post stuff and like you were posting like bedroom videos of you like ripping out the guitar. Like what year do you suspect this was?
This was like 2014. I remember I was living on Hudson in Chicago with Laura. And like 2014, I'd like put up some grainy video of me, playing guitar in a bedroom, and it would get a bunch of likes, comments, people would be following me, and that just doesn't. It is something, I think stratified is the word. The environment on social media now is so much more like stratified out, and there's so much more noise that happens. Maybe that's why my stuff doesn't get the interaction that it used to.
This kind of reminds me of the whole story you had with the Potbelly nerds, where it was like it was all appreciated, then all of a sudden these little dorks started walking in.
Yeah,
and
I guess.
Killed it. And it's
I don't know.
It sounds like social media.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Maybe. I don't exactly know why. I'm sure their algorithms have changed a whole bunch over the years, and I feel like it definitely used to be easier than it is now. Now I feel like I'm putting out the best stuff that I've ever put out now, and it's getting the least reaction that I've ever gotten, on social media.
Well, and I'll just say this off rip too. Like even when I met you at So Far, I remember you had that account that that account that had like 6,000 followers on. I mean, actually, I'm lying. I think you had 7,000.
Yeah.
And I remember you posting like even square videos. And it would just say, like, I'd go to it and it would say, like, view, like, 36 comments. And, like, there'd be, like, I'd see, like, fire mode. People be like, damn, like, what song you play next? Like, I'd just see, like, comments and comments.
Yeah.
And, like, this wasn't just, like, 1 or 2 posts either.
No.
Like, I remember going through your thing being like, yo, this guy's got some, like, engagement going on his thing.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even that. I mean, when did I meet you at So Far? That was what year?
7 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, it's crazy. It sounds wild to say, but in that time span of, like, then to now, That is a drastic shift.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I mean, it's funny I'm even talking about this because last night, actually, with a bunch of buddies, we were watching some old MTV music videos from, like, 10 years ago. Dude, most of those MTV music videos, granted, they're popular songs, but, like, music videos, dude, it was bussin'. Like, those videos, like, one of them had 21 billion views. Another one had, like, I think, like, 43 billion views. Like, these videos had, like, gorillions of eyeballs, like, and it was, like, the MTV era. Like, and I'm going back a little bit here, but, like, it shows that, like, it's almost like transcending, where it was, like, there was an era where it was, like, people still comment and be like, yo, this stuff's great. It's great. And I don't know if it's, like, the algorithmic switch or, like, I don't know what happened. There was, like, a gray, almost seems like, because even lockdown, dare I say, I feel like I remember some engagement.
Yeah.
And, like, post-lockdown, I feel like it just, like, GG's, it was gone.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that it feels basically impossible now to grow on these platforms for me. The only platform that I have been very slowly growing on is YouTube.
Yeah.
Instagram, I just lose followers when I post.
Yep.
Every time. I lose, like, 4 or 5 followers. I might gain one, but I'm losing more than I'm gaining.
Same.
TikTok, same thing. Like, I just lose followers every time I post. I might gain 1 or 2, but it's like, I think there's a lot of reasons why. Like we've talked about before, about how I think my image just isn't interesting to people on TikTok. They see me and I don't have a ton of tattoos or whatever. I'm just a white dude with a straight haircut, and they just kind of go, and scroll. Which, like, I guess I get it, but, like, it feels like if you just look ridiculous, you will get TikTok views. Like, that's literally how I feel, is like, if you just look totally ridiculous, then...
And I sent Danny this thing the other day where TikTok, like, actually kind of got in trouble at one point for, like, that thing I was showing you, where it was, like, they would, like, relegate you into, like, if you were, like, ugly, you basically get, like, shunned out of the play. And I'm not saying that as, like, a slight or, like, anything with you. I'm saying this was a thing that was, actively on the platform, where it was, like, they would actively, like, deem you as an ugly person or not suitable for the right look, and just shun you out of the, like, thing.
I believe
it. Honestly, I hate to say it, but, like, a part of me believes that's still a thing on the platform. That, like, very much exists. Like, this is not just like a Me to You thing. This is like a conversation I've had with a couple other people too.
Even if it doesn't exist in that the platform specifically engineered it to be that way, I think it exists in that the people who use the platform have engineered it to be that way, essentially. Mm-hmm. The users have basically caused that to be a thing because they're unwilling to pay attention to people whose image they find striking enough to, view their content. And they, the people who they do find striking enough to view their content end up getting lifted up. So it's, even if it isn't something that TikTok or Instagram or whatever purposefully did on their end, I think there's a much larger chance that the users themselves have created that kind of thing.
To me, the part that makes me laugh about it, it's not right. But the thing that makes me laugh is, like, how much brain surgery this takes to figure this shit out. Like, we should just be able to post, and then we have you have 12,000 followers, something like that on there. You should just be able to post, those followers see it, and call it a day. Like, it should not be harder than that. But for some reason, they're just like, 12,000 followers? Oh, yeah, no.
We're going to show it to 100 of them. Yeah.
I mean, like, it totally yanks the purpose of it. And, like,
I could tell you, let's take a look at, like, one of my recents and see what the breakdown is for percentage. So this one got, so this isn't even a lot of views, right? So it showed it to 40%. So this one's half and half. It showed it to 50% followers, 50% non-follows. But my question is, why can't it just show, I have
100% to followers.
I have 2,600 followers. Why can't it just send it to all 2,600 of those people and then extra people if it wants? It doesn't make any sense.
That's what it's like the biggest mystery, and I do think this has to do with, like, attention economy. I do believe in that. Like, I think they want people to spend as much time as they want on the platform.
Right.
So they see that, like, oh, maybe someone didn't watch this video all the way through. Mm-hmm. Screw this guy. And then the thing that's contrary to this whole point is, like, you've done this. And like the reason I'm talking with Danny about this too in particular is because like Danny and I spend a lot of time talking about social media.
Yeah.
Like trial and error. I'm like, Danny, we should try this. Like I already gave him another recommendation. Let's try this.
Right.
We're always like, let's try something. And like he's like very willing and open to try these things.
Yeah.
And like he's the singular person that I've spent like uncanny amount of hours being like, yo, we should try this. And out of all the things I've seen that you and I've done, the guitar videos I made you where you were yapping about like when you got this guitar, that did well for you. But the problem is when you find something like that that does really well for you, it's what are you going to do? Go buy 16 more guitars and be like, so I went to a Guitar Center, I got this guitar and this. Like, no, you're done with your talking about guitars. Like, you're not going to sit there and yap again and again.
Right.
And it turns into this thing where it's like the thing that does well, there's a threshold. It's the same thing with me. What am I going to do? Just pull venues out of my butt and just like, I'm going to hit a point where I can't talk about venues anymore. I can't talk about, and I'm going to watch my numbers trickle down.
Yeah.
And it's always that thing that like has a very limit to it. And then even if it doesn't have a limit, there's a burnout factor.
Right.
People get burned out and then they're fucking done and they want to talk about something completely different or share what they're actually coming to the platform for to present themselves.
Right.
But the platform's not interested in that thing.
No.
And so the second you get any level of excitement to talk about something, you're doomed. Don't like forget it.
Yeah.
Like, across the board, you're doomed. You cannot get excited.
No.
You have to be like mad or like upset about something.
I think, I mean, and I even started doing some of that recently where I was making some stuff that had kind of a negative tilt to it.
Well, you treated yourself as a villain in that one video, and it was like, you put up a caption, it was like, we paid this guy $5,000, and look what he did for us. And that was the video that got a bunch of
got a ton of interaction. Yeah, got a ton of interaction, yeah. I've gotten to the point, and I've told you this, where I don't want to spend any time or mental energy or anything like, oh, how do I figure out the meta and is this gonna perform best and what's this thumbnail and I'm done doing that. I am
brain surgery.
Yeah, I am so done doing that. I'm just gonna make shit that I like, that I think is cool. If it works out, cool. If not, whatever, man. Like I just don't care. I'm done putting all of my hopes and dreams onto, this video, it has to work. I have to figure out a way to get engagement, man. I have to have a 3-second hook. I have to just fuck all of that.
One of the like the most effed up things I've seen on your end is like some of your videos, like we've gone over this. There's like videos you post that will actually get zero or one person on TikTok specifically. And then you'll delete it and then repost, and then it'll be like 3 views, and you'll delete it again. And then for some reason that one will do the typical 300 views that I assume to be like a bunch of robots or like unexistent figures, maybe like 50 real humans somewhere in that track.
I don't even think it's that.
I might be being nice.
I think it's all automated.
It's automated.
Yeah. I think it's all an algorithm that is set up to when you do you post on desktop?
No.
Okay.
I don't, because I only told you to do that because you called me one day and you said, hey, my quality's worse.
Right.
What do I do? And I said, post from desktop, you'll save it.
So I wonder if it, like when I post something, it says the content is being reviewed for like a minute until it gets posted. So I don't know if they do that.
Mine does that on the phone.
So it does that for you too. Yeah.
I think, here's my thing with TikTok. As someone that like fought this long and hard TikTok journey to get followers I did and like get any engagement, was like at first I was just kind of like posting whatever, like funny clips. I posted something as dumb as, do you remember during lockdown, like the big line inside stores?
Yeah.
The first video that I did that got any eyeballs on was a video of me going like this in Costco, panning across the big line in Costco. 6-second video, 5,600 eyeballs on it. And I was like, okay, so out of all the things I've had fun posting, that's what got eyeballs. So I stopped posting, turned around like somewhere during lockdown, put up a video of my dogs watching a helicopter that was flying in the air.
Yeah.
That thing, it was like a RC. I was on an RC helicopter flying it. My dog's watching it. 180,000 views.
Wow.
And there were people being like, bro, what kind of dog do you have? Like, bro, how old's that dog? Yeah. That's a cute puppy. And I was like, oh, great. I got dog followers now. I got 2,000 dog followers.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went, oh, my God. So I immediately had to retract because I wanted to put skating on there.
Yeah.
And I started posting myself skating because people were like, bro, we want to see you skate. Like, kind of like you. It's like, we want to hear you play, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, we want to see you skate. So I was like, I post skate clips, 200 views.
Nothing.
And I was getting so upset. I'm like, and I got to the point where I was like, and I openly know this myself. I'm not the best skater. So I was like, I think the bar to skating is so high, I'm not quite at that bar.
Right.
So I was like, whatever, I'll learn to live with that. Just post. Well, then one day I was like at a skate park, and I was like, maybe I should just like review this or something. So I did a review, and I actually didn't post it. But later on that week, I came back and I actually posted back to Illinois. I posted a video where it was like the worst video ever. I went to a skate park, and I was intentionally riding a Walmart board.
Yeah.
And I just took it out of the package, and I was like, wait, what if I stomped it in the skate park?
Yeah.
So I like stomped on it in the skate park, and it didn't break, but I kind of like went like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. But I came home, and I was like, I held this board that before I snapped it, I was like, I bought a Walmart board, and look what happened. And then I cut to a cell phone clip of me filming my computer screen. Yeah. So not even the clip, but filming my computer screen of this clip that I had already filmed on another camera of me not stomping this board. 12-second clip. First 1.2 million views on TikTok. And I was like,
wow.
I'm like, wait a minute. So something I spent all this time, and that's what does well. What did I say earlier? Can't replicate that.
Yeah,
what am I gonna do? Stomp everyone's skateboard? Like, so then I tried to like stomp this board. I did like a series of like trying to stomp another board, but like fake doing it kind of. But like, I'm not gonna fake shit for that long.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta stop doing this. And then I posted that skate park review. And then that got like 32,000. So I was like, maybe this works. But I noticed there was one thing that stood out to me about this is I could not make that review and be like, check out this skate. I had to be like, you would not believe how amazing this skate park. It's like, you've seen my videos. Yeah. They're all like, this skate park will blow your mind. Like, it's some dumb intro that without that intro, this video does not work. It's a completely invalid video. Right. And it's like, again, it's like people are looking for that thing that's like gonna like suck them in when it's like, that's my biggest thing with short form content is I truly believe that like people should be able to express themselves without having to artificially express themselves in a fake way where it's like the Mr. Beast like, I just exploded 45 cars today. Yeah. Like you should not have to do that type of shit. Right. You should just be able to be like, yo, I'm doing this thing, like come watch this cool thing. If you don't watch it, cool, like whatever. But like
people won't pay attention to that.
But people don't like we've gotten so like broken online that like it's to the point where you have to be like, I just blew up 45 of my neighbor's cars. Yeah. And then like cut to you playing guitar or something. Yeah. Or it's like not. And first off, the biggest part about that is people aren't actually trained to know that. First off, like I don't imagine you were like walking in social media being like, yeah, this is not like in every person's like brain. They're not trained to think in that way, and they shouldn't have to be. First off, that's not normal. But I have good news. YouTube has been posting. I've been seeing people post these videos off cuff lately where there's no thumbnail, no nothing. Just the video will be titled like something like I'm 29 and have never traveled the world or something. Mm-hmm. And it's just someone sitting in their car yapping, no thumbnail. It looks like a 2010 YouTube video again. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe YouTube is starting to make that change and they're like full form videos. But man, if you go on short form and you try to make a video without like some relatable thing or some intro or like, look at me, like tell me the most ridiculous thing you've seen with musicians. Like I feel like nowadays musicians all have to do the like, this is a crossover between John Mayer and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of formats, like that exist that I see. A lot of throwback stuff, like you were saying. Yeah, like kids that are very clearly imitating, like a 70s rock vibe or whatever. Or just like incredible singing. If you're an incredible singer, you can get traction, I think, very easily on TikTok, but you have to be an incredible like a really talented singer. And, so I don't benefit from that at all because I'm not that.
I've told you, I think you're a great musician. I like your singing. You've got great, obviously you're a phenomenal guitar player.
It's decent, but it's not like everyone stops and goes, holy shit. Singing, that's a different, that you really have to have talent to sing like that. I mean, like I'm at the point where I don't care. Like, I just don't fucking care. And I'm not going to do it either. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to try and be like, here's my hook. Here's my 3-second hook. And I'm done doing that.
Short form is the death of all of us.
I'm very over it. And I've also, with a musician, I feel like it's different because short form content at the end of the day is just a little thing that you're putting out there to maybe try and gain some followers or get some accidental virality to happen.
Or listeners to your songs.
Right. But ultimately, the most important thing for me and what I'm actually concerned with doing is just building my catalog of music.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important asset that I have, in my opinion, and that any musician has, is the catalog. Hopefully you own your music.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's so many artists that have put out an album and then nothing happens with it for 3 years, and then 3 years go by and something catches and it's huge all of a sudden. I'm pretty sure that's the case with this Chapel Roan artist.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the case with Sabrina. A lot of these big artists that you're hearing of, like, those albums, they didn't put them out like last year. They put them out years ago, and it took a lot of time. And eventually something caught with one of the songs, and then it went.
On TikTok and stuff.
Right. So, I mean, just make the catalog. And I think if the catalog exists and if you have good music in there, then it's kind of just a waiting game almost of if you get X amount of exposure on that catalog over time, there's an increasing chance that something with any one of those things can click.
So, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
But as for trying to do this format and I've said it multiple times, but I'm done, dude. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to try and play that game because I find it degrading, and I also find it deflating. It completely defeats my motivation
to what you came to it for.
It makes me feel like a total phony to do that crap. So I'm not gonna do it. Like, I don't care even if it could get a bunch of views if I did this the right way and did some stupid format. I'm not going to do it because it's anti-art to me.
Yeah. You just need videos of you playing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that probably is what I should lean into more, is just more videos of me playing. I think these story narratives that I've been trying lately are cool, but they would be a lot cooler if I had a big base of people that were really already interested in my stuff. So
yeah, you got a comment on that the other day, didn't you? Someone said something a little bit funky.
Yeah, someone said no one wants to hear your story, just play, basically. And I'm like, well, it's kind of a dick comment, but he's probably also right in some regard in that, if The Weeknd or whatever was putting out narrative stories of here's things that happened, people would be really interested in that.
Yeah.
But as some no-name musician that no one's ever heard of, people are just like, dude, like, I don't know you. Why would I care about this? So I honestly don't think he's wrong. Yeah. I think I'm at a point in my, career where I still have to impress people. I still have to show them that I'm worth caring about. And so the way you do that as a musician is through your playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think going forward, I'm probably going to be focusing a lot more on just putting up videos of me playing.
Like those band videos we were talking about, you guys playing.
Yeah, I'll be doing those soon. I'll be doing that. I'll shoot that next Monday and we'll put it up. I don't think they're going to do very well because none of my stuff does. And again, I think it all kind of links back to that people, especially like kids who drive TikTok, younger folks.
Yeah.
Younger folks.
Those young whippersnappers.
Yeah, I think that I'm just not an interesting image to them. They see me and it's an instant kind of turn off is my guess.
Yeah.
So, that just kind of is what it is. But, either way, it's like I'm not letting, even though social media is an end-all be-all for how successful you end up. It's
kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is really sad.
Oh.
Social media is an end-all be-all for how successful you end up as a musician in most regards. I'm not going to operate inside of that framework.
Yeah.
I'm going to operate inside of social media is just some crap that I'm doing to fulfill the obligation that I have as an artist to put up videos and content. And but the stuff that really matters to me is getting real-world gigs to make money off of and actually have a living, and producing my catalog. The rest of it is just bullshit to me, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it, and it's purely out of obligation. I will not enjoy doing it, and I certainly don't. I would love to not feel the need to make these stupid little videos and, but I have to.
Do you think musicians got relegated to that kind of the lockdown era, do you think? Or was it prior to that? Like, I don't...
Prior.
It's really interesting because, like, as someone that makes social media videos for artists, it, like, I remember a very clear point in time when I made YouTube videos for artists. It would be an array of things from, like, vlogs where I'd go and see, like, day in the life of this artist. Here's what it looks like when I'm working with my producer. These are the songs we're breaking down. Like, it was like a fully drawn out video. And if it wasn't that, it was like a full live performance video, like in the studio or like full live performance. Like, I edited whole shows for people, 45-hour long shows for people that would be on their YouTube. And I remember, like, it was like a fully drawn out thing before. And then it hit a point where everyone, like, I think it was like post lockdown. Everyone's like, we need these like short form clips, short form. And like, it felt like everyone felt as if though they were relegated to those platforms because, like, if I catch someone in their tracks now being like, I need a YouTube video, I will, like, look at them and be like, let's go. Like, it makes me feel a lot different because I'm like, damn, maybe this person, like, has, like, an interest still in, like, a longer form, drawn out thing. And it's sad that, like, some of that, I mean, I'm happy to crank these short form out if that's what you want, but it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, that was the whole idea of it in the first place is, like, give people a glimpse into your music life, give them a glimpse into what goes on. And now it's all like, well, how many clips can we get out of this? And, like, how many clips, which one's going to go viral and all this. And it's like a whole nother brain surgery. Yeah. And something just hasn't sat right with me.
I feel like it was pre-lockdown. Like, it's been that way for a while, in my opinion. That I mean,
since social media,
since Instagram, really, I'd say. I feel like Instagram is kind of what started off the short form thing. Yeah. Because I if I recall, I think Instagram's videos used to only be, when it first came out, it was like 15 seconds or something.
Yeah, it was.
Max. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, that was the longest video you could upload. So I think that kind of started it. And I think it's gotten magnified by TikTok.
Yes.
But I think Instagram actually kind of started it. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, like, it's just something that I have so little actual interest in discussing, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I really just fucking don't care. I find it degrading to artistry. I think it also just it ruins, I think I told you this before, I think it ruins the mystique of the artist today. Like, Slash didn't have to make some video where he's like, hey guys, here we are at the thing, and check this out. And, like,
John Mayer didn't do that.
John Mayer didn't have to do that. Prince didn't have to do that. Like, they were allowed to be artists, and they didn't have to be real people, which made them honestly cooler. They were like these figures that were like, oh, like, I've only seen you in magazines, and I've only seen you, like, on MTV.
And you maybe got their CD one time.
Right. Like, I haven't seen you, like, just sitting in your, fucking pajamas at your house playing guitar, because you didn't have to do that to get known in your era.
Yeah, you did.
You had, publications putting you out. It was different. And yeah, it might have been harder, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's destroyed the mystique of the artist, which some people might argue is a good thing, in that your artists should be relatable and grounded. And, it's a good thing that we, see whatever. Selena Gomez upload a video of her just in her PJs at her house, reacting to something or whatever. But like, I don't know. I honestly think it's less cool. I think it's cool when you have someone like Prince, who's like this otherworldly figure, and, like, you only see him in these very well curated, very well put out kind of, an image and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I'm at the point where, like, I just don't care. So I'm going to keep fulfilling the obligation of making content, which I hate that
It's a part-time job for musicians.
Dude, making content. Yeah, it's like
the Gary Vee thing.
It's like if you wanted to become a lawyer, but you also had to learn, like, accounting on the side or something. It just doesn't It's
degrading.
It's nothing that any of us signed up for, but it's something that we all have to do now.
And there's like labels that are like forcing people to do this.
Oh yeah, you could have the greatest songs in the world, dude, but if you don't have the numbers, if you don't have a big social media following, they're not going to invest in you in the slightest.
It's cooked.
Yeah. Not that I would ever even want a label to invest in me, because you may as well just go to a bank and take a loan out, because it's the same thing. It literally is the same thing. Getting signed to a label, unless you already have a huge following and are in control and are already making money off of that, you're basically just taking out a loan that you're going to have to pay
back.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay interest on it too. You know, and they're going to own all your shit.
Yep.
So no, like honestly, I would love to never ever work with a label. If I could have my druthers and get a real career going, I would love nothing more than to tell a label to fuck off. You know, like that's my dream now, is to just tell a label to fucking get bent, get out of here, because you know, you don't need them today. You can monetize your thing completely online by yourself. If you get a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subs, you'll be making thousands of dollars a month off of that. I know for a fact from people that have done it, that I've talked to. So like, labels are bullshit, man. Like, fuck you, labels. I want nothing more than to get big enough to where I don't need, you know, I wouldn't even want to entertain that idea of working with a label.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think that's a good way. I'm looking at the camera, about to die right there.
Oh.
I think that's a good way to leave it off, though, on the social media note there.
Yeah.
That kind of encapsulates everything that we wanted to talk about, too, as far as what, you know, your path, as far as social media and the landscape of being an artist today. And I hope, you know, I might break this up into little segments, that type of thing. But hopefully you got something to take away from this episode. And thanks again for stopping by, coming on this episode for a good old even episode 40.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude. We'll talk to you later, and hit that subscribe button if you were a pro yapper too. Yeah. And you listen to this, all right? All right. Peace.